Hello everyone, welcome back to the Addicted Bookworm, where my addiction is all over the internet. On this channel I do library book hauls, book reviews, both physical and digital, audiobooks, and so much more. Alright, so everybody's talking about Summerween and all that type of stuff, and I'm like, that sounds like a lot of fun. However, I can't afford to decorate my place for Halloween and Summerween and all that stuff. But I can read books that are horror based or thriller or whatever, because as everyone knows I own plenty of them, so I have a variety of beautiful stuff to read. And this is the book that I am currently reading, the Cthulhu Casebook, Sherlock Holmes and the Highgate Horror by James Lovegrove. And this has 4 sections in it. I have read that much and I still have that much to go. This is due tomorrow, but I will be renewing it tomorrow. So as of right now, as of doing this video, I've got a total of 4 books, physical books, that are out. I have 1 ebook, and that is The Running Man. And speaking of The Running Man, I will not begin The Running Man physically this week coming up. I will not. What I'm actually going to do is, instead of getting it as a physical edition, when I deposit money into my bank account, I will actually buy it as a digital copy. So I will still have it. So yeah, if I want to go back every year and read it, I can. So this was actually displayed. So basically what they actually do is you get new books that only are good for 7 days, and then you can either renew them or you have to bring them back for somebody else that wants them, and then they go to the for the 3 weeks. So yeah. So this is one of them. This is not a 7-day book. This is actually a 3-week book. So, as I said, it's due tomorrow. And I have been reading a little bit of this book every day for the last 3 days now. I finally got to it about maybe 3 days ago. I started this book, which is kind of late. I really thought that I would at least have this book read in 3 days, because that's normally how I do it. But ever since I decided to take my book reading a lot more slowly than I normally do, I have decided to heck with it. It's pretty thick. There's other books before this one. I have not yet read them, so I'm actually going to write down the name of the author. And when I go to, I'm actually going to check to see if they have it physically, and if they don't, I'll go on Libby and do it that way. But anyways, or actually take it back, I don't actually have to do that. I can actually, I was on the library's website, and you can actually get it, downloaded onto the Kindle from the website. So, okay, that's good. I just remembered I saw that in the in the website. Can't believe I forgot that. But anyways, so the first section, I'm actually on part 2. The first part takes place in autumn, and it starts with a gentleman. I can't pronounce his last name. He dies. He passes away, and his widow is very upset, which is understandable. And she kind of tells Holmes about that she swears she saw her husband out of her window, which is creepy. And apparently they've already buried the guy, because he was buried in Highgate Cemetery, which is one of those made-up Victorian cemeteries. Which I honestly don't know if there actually is a Highgate Cemetery in England. I don't know. So they go to investigate, and I'm reading this slowly. I have my book thing, which I can set on the, like that, which is no problem. And because I got the worst eyesight in the not in the universe, but I feel like in the universe, I'm actually wearing my glasses, and it blows everything up. And so I'm able to easily sit here and just read the book and without squinting and everything, because I was going to get my eyes tested this month. Anyways, so Holmes and Watson, they are, there's this body that's discovered. There's kind of like this lesion. I hope I'm not going to gross anybody out in this video. There's this kind of like this lesion that's inside the man's throat that looks like it's cancer. Apparently in Holmes's universe, cancer has been discovered, which is good. And so basically what happens is they they scrape the inside of the man's throat and finds out there's this kind of weird stuff in the sample, which is and so basically what also happens is that all these clues and all these things that Holmes and Watson observe and see and everything, which goes into Watson's last book. Like, he's on the verge of death and he wants to write the one last adventure of his good friend Sherlock Holmes. And so it ended, first section ended with this guy. He reanimates the dead, and I don't remember if the guy is mentioned, the dead man is mentioned as one of the three bodies. But so if his name is not mentioned, he's somewhere. And Holmes is kind of like, Watson wants to save these bodies that are in his mind's eye are still alive, and Holmes is like, no. What kind of life would they have? Like, honestly, like, what kind of life would these dead bodies have? They would probably put in a freak show and made to be the subject of, like, pointed at and stuff. So, yes, it was, I think Holmes was very much aware of that they would be considered freaks. They're dead, but they're alive, and people would be drawn to that, and it would be really disrespectful to them. So anyways, one of the huge reasons that I picked up this book is I'm a big fan of Sherlock Holmes. I really love Sherlock Holmes. Years ago, this is back when I was like much younger, and I used to go to the main branch of the library. And my mom would give me a little bit of money to go to the main branch of the library, especially if the book I wanted was not at my local library, which was like right across the street from where I lived. So she gave me a little bit of dough, and I would take a bus over to the library. And so I remember reading a book Lord, I was young back then. Yeah, I was a lot younger now than I am now. It was basically about Dracula, and he had to team up with Sherlock Holmes, and that was my first taste of Sherlock Holmes in a horror book. And the idea that he had to team up with Dracula, it was like, wow, it was so cool. And I can't find that book anywhere. It's just like it was part of my 20s. I came back from the library with that book, and my mom was like, "What did you get?" I said, "Well, I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan." She knew. She's like, "Yeah," and I showed it to her. She goes, "Oh no." She said, one day those books are going to affect your brain. But yeah. That was good. Oh god, that was a good memory. Yes. Anyways, so I really liked that kind of stuff. I liked the idea of Sherlock Holmes in a horror book. But there are other books before this one, and I am going to actually go today on their website and see if they have the other books, because in all honesty, I would really like to read the ones preceding this one. But you know, if you want to look at it, like people are going to ask me, well, if you're reading this series out of order, don't you feel like that you're missing out on a lot of information from the other books? I was like, not really, because I don't see that I'm missing out on anything as a reader, because I didn't know those books existed. But in all like honesty, if I'm ever going to buy another book, as I said, if I do buy a book, it's going to be a book I've already read and I love, and I'm really loving this book. I'm going to definitely consider buying this. Actually, no. I'm going to get the other books, and then I will get this book. But I'm going to actually read, after I finish this book, I'm going to look at the ones that come before it. This is Sherlock Holmes and the Shadowwell Shadows. So, then they have other ones. They got The Stuff of Nightmares, Gods of War, The Thinking Engine. Oh, The Thinking Engine looks good. The Labyrinth of Death, and The Devil's Dust. Yeah. They have Sherlock Holmes and the Christmas Demon, Sherlock Holmes and the Beast of... Wow, they got some good ones. Yeah, there's some good ones. Yeah, so I'm actually going to try to read all those books, because I really, really would love to read them and see Sherlock Holmes in all these different adventures. But the book that had Dracula in it is not written by James Lovegrove, so it's not in the list of books that he's written. So, anyways, I'm really digging this one. I am currently on page... I'm currently on page 79. So I will be reading my I will go all the way to page 100, and then tomorrow I'll read it all the way to 125. So I'm gonna double check, see how many like pages are in this book, so I pretty much have a good idea if I have to renew it again. But I'm really getting into this book. As I said before, I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. I never read anything from like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, but somehow watching a couple of the old black and white Holmes adventures, I was just like, dang, I really, really love this character. And then of course, what was it? George? No, not George. Sorry. Robert Downey Jr. He played Sherlock Holmes, I believe, twice. And I just loved him in both those movies. So I became a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes, and I just like, I gotta read his books. Even if it's not written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, I absolutely have to devour anything that has Sherlock Holmes in it. But for me, it's going to probably only be limited to the horror ones. But later on down the road, I will probably start diving into the ones that are actually written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and not the ones that are written by other people. So, anyways, yeah, so I'm really eager to continue with this book. I'm now in part 2, which is Winter of 1888. 1888, for people that are real buffs in English history, was the time when Jack the Ripper was active. So I don't know if this is before Jack the Ripper came along or after, but I do know that there was a book that came out years ago where Holmes was trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper was, and I do believe at the end of it he did figure out who Jack the Ripper was. That's another book that I really want to pick up, because that's kind of like crime fiction. Alright, is it nonfiction? I don't know. But still, I told my mother about it, and she's like, oh, that sounds like a really good idea for a book. And I said, well, yeah, this guy wrote this book about Holmes tracking down Jack the Ripper. My mother was a huge Jack the Ripper buff. She really was like into like who's Jack the Ripper and everything. But anyways, that's also another book that I'm really thinking about borrowing from the library if I can find the book in the library, because I don't even remember the title of the book. Alright, so anyways, enough talking. I'm going to get back to my book. But yeah, so I'll be back tomorrow with, I believe, 2 videos, but I do have 2 shorts that I want to upload and everything. So I will see you guys next time.